Hey look, it's me, and this is my cat Junie. And today I'm gonna be Ghiblifying her. Woohoo! So I actually made a lot happen before I even started painting this. First, I took way too long to take my paper down so that I would try this stretching technique where you spray or wet the paper after you tape it. Of course, I sprayed too much water and had to absorb it with my sleeve while I blow dried it, which actually did nothing to stop it from lifting. It did leave this coochie-shaped bend in the paper though, which we love, go female representation. Then I decided to use the flower pot that my cat broke last night, dirt and all, as flat lay decor so that at least something useful comes from her sins. Of course, I got the dirt all over the paper and we had to vacuum it off. Finally, then it was time to bring out my feelings playlist, click on a song named Depression, blow you guys a kiss, and get to work. Sorry, I had to include that just to show everyone how much work I really make for myself just by being absolutely stupid. um, but today is just gonna be a chill voiceover of me just kind of talking about Junie and how we first got her, because she's only been with us, or me and my family, for about a year and a half. Also, yes, I totally did make her ginormous. She's like half the size of Totoro. Which means she's huge. But it was too late at that point. I had used paper that was way too small to add any like detail, so I had to make her a bit bigger. And even then, it was just like really hard to add any detail. So it is what it is. It's cute. I mean, I would love a giant Junie. I'm fine with it. So I went to school in a different city than where my parents and my sister live, but I was home for the summer 2 summers ago, I guess now, and we had been begging my parents, my sister and I, for a cat forever. We couldn't get a dog because they're too much work and I'm also allergic. So finally, my parents caved out of the blue. I think it was because my aunt and uncle also got their cat and they kind of saw that like it wasn't as big of a deal as they thought it would be. So I started looking for a pet to adopt from one of our local shelters. And I quickly discovered that it's actually not that easy to adopt a cat, at least here where I'm from in Toronto. So my sister and I were looking specifically for a younger cat, under 2 years preferably, and we wanted one that didn't have too many like known behavioral issues. I'm not above cats like that. It's just that it was our first experience and I was sort of scared that we wouldn't be able to figure out how to deal with a cat that needed like extra care and attention. And there's a lot more cats that are older in shelters, so that was already an obstacle. And then once we did find a few cats that we liked online, you have to fill out a lot of forms, and one of the things that they ask you is, are you planning on having it be an outdoor cat or an outdoor-indoor cat? And I would always check both outdoor and indoor because we were planning on buying a leash and taking the cat outside. So like already a few days in, and I'm not getting any responses from any of the applications that I had submitted, and I just like was not understanding why until one of the shelters was nice enough to email me and let me know point blank that they weren't going to be adopting any cats to me because I had checked the both outdoor/indoor box. And if you don't know, having cats outdoors like significantly decreases their lifespan because of all of the accidents that could happen. And I totally understand that mindset. Of course, like you want to protect the animals that you're caring for as much as possible, and you want them to go to a home that's going to make sure that they have the longest and best possible life. But it was just really frustrating because I did not mean outdoor in the sense of like the cat can just go in and out as it pleases. I just meant that we will be taking it outdoors if it likes the leash. And so that's how I had screwed up my chances with the more local shelters, which it was already hard because they weren't having many young cats coming in. So I had to expand the region, and that meant that I was looking into more like smaller shelters or like nonprofits run by just a couple of people, and they had even stricter rules. Like if you wanted to get a young cat, you had to get a second one, or you had to already have another cat at home so that they can help socialize the young cat. And we did find a couple of cats that we were like met the qualifications for and were super interested in, but by the time that we got a response, they had already been adopted to somebody else. So it was just incredibly frustrating. So at this point, it's been like 2 weeks, and my boyfriend at the time wanted me to come visit him, and he lived in my university city. So I went over there, and I think I was over at his place when I saw the posting for our cat. And at that point, like, I had felt so rushed, right? Because I kind of realized, like, you gotta work fast, otherwise you're just, like, never gonna get the cat that you see. So I, like, told my sister about it. My sister was down. We, like, quickly told my parents. We did the application, and neither my sister or I drive, so it had to be my dad who drove us. And it was kind of, like, in the midway between my university city and where my parents live. Now, even though we did the applications, the shelter didn't, like, commit to anything until we came and met the cat, and it was still, like, on a first come first serve, so it was very possible, like, someone else could swoop in and get her. So I was, like, in a very, like, urgent state, and so we decided to go up the next day, and my parents and my sister were going to drive up from Toronto, and my ex-boyfriend and I were going to drive up from the city we were in. Of course, me and my ex were behind schedule, so my sister and parents get there and we're not there yet, and they don't want to finalize anything without me because I was the person that filled out the forms, and, like, I did all of, like, the communication. And my parents weren't even really thrilled about the idea of getting the cat, even though they, like, gave us the go ahead. And not only were me and my ex behind schedule, but we were supposed to stop at Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, before we were getting there, because there aren't any, like, Krispy Kremes in his area, so that was sort of the deal. And so we get to Krispy Kreme, and there's a huge line. I'm, like, sweating buckets. Meanwhile, my sister is calling me, and she's like, Mom is, like, really upset. She's annoyed that you're not here, and she doesn't want the cat, and she's being, like, really, like, weird, and the person is, like, you know, kind of skeptical of us. And then a few minutes later, my sister texts me, and she says, Mom told them that you have a cat allergy. And I just lose it because one of the questions that they ask you on the forms, along with whether or not you're going to declaw the cat or have it outside or inside, is whether or not you have allergies to cats. And I, at that point, hadn't had any, like, I had a confirmed dog allergy, and I had reacted to a couple of cats before, but not every single time, and it was very inconsistent. So I considered that to not be a cat allergy. But my mom just point blank told them that I was allergic. And I just thought it was over for us, because I knew for a fact that they were not going to give the cat to someone who is allergic, because the chances of you bringing that cat back obviously increase, and they're not going to waste their time with that. So I am freaking out, but we finally make it to the shelter, and it didn't go that badly. Thankfully, the guy that was on shift that day and dealt with us was really nice, really chill. He said, you know, my wife has allergies, and we have a bunch of cats, and she just takes anti-allergy pills, so as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, then I trust you guys. And he, like, explained everything and showed us Junie, and then we were ready to take her home. But even though everything went over well, I just remember being so upset at my mom, because she had explicitly, you know, like, showed no interest in any of the searching process, or, like, even just getting the cat in the beginning. In the first place, she said, you know, you can get it. She gave us the go ahead, but then she just, like, didn't involve herself in, you know, choosing or looking and, like, the forms or anything like that. But then on the actual day, it just, like, started moving too fast for her, and so she started acting out. And she was just, like, giving them way too much information, some of which wasn't true, like the allergies, and she was just, like, acting in a way that made it seem like we don't want to be there and that we're not trustworthy. And it made me so upset. And even at the end, when the guy was like, okay, so you need to buy a carrier, we have to give it to you, like, we have to give you the cat in a carrier so you could take it in the car. And my mom was like, why do we need that? Like, what's the point of that? Whatever, they're just trying to, like, get money from us. So it was, I definitely lost a couple years of my life throughout that whole process. But we got her, we brought her home, and here's how that went. So on the website, it had said that she was rescued from a hoarding situation with about, like, 40 other cats, and we were warned that she's just very kind of skittish, and so we weren't sure what to expect when we brought her home. And I had read a lot of research and advice prior to this, so everyone said, you know, keep her in one room and let the cat like hide if she wants to hide, you know. So that's what we did. We brought her in our house and we put her in my room, and right away Junie was just like, I want out. Like, I do not want to be just confined to these four walls. I'm curious about what's out there. She was like trying to dig from underneath the door. She wasn't like trying to hide from us or anything. So we let her out and she like explored the full house, and she didn't really hide. Within a few hours, she was like napping beside us. And so right away, there was definitely like things that are a bit different about her. And I was just really worried about like, you know, what kind of sort of behavioral issues that she would have based on like, you know, the life she had lived prior. And she was mostly just fine, but she had some anxiety for sure. She like could not sit still even though she wanted pets. She would always be moving. Like, you couldn't pet her in one spot. She would always just like move a little further. And that's like slowly gone away over time. She still does it, but it's like, it's night and day now. What else? She like absolutely refused to scratch anybody. It was so funny. And she still does it if you're like playing with her under the blanket. Like, if you stick your hand under the blanket to make it move, she'll like attack it, but the second she realizes that it's your hand or that it's skin, she will not play with it, or like if she does, it's like really, really gentle. So we just like thought that she was such a like angel cat. And then we brought her over to my aunts and uncles like a month into having her, and she like freaked out on that cat. Like, she wanted nothing to do with him, even though he was like younger than her. She was like hissing. I had never seen her hiss. So that's how we figured out she like absolutely hates other cats with passion. And then she slowly became an outdoor/indoor cat, much to my dismay. But I had to leave for school, and so I left her here with my parents and sister. And my dad listens to nobody, so he would start to like let her out a little bit in the winter, because she wanted to like explore the backyard, and then she started to like poop outside and she refused to poop inside. And then over time she would just like not want to come back in, especially as it got warmer out, and she started to explore outdoors and fight with all of our neighborhood cats. Thankfully we're like in a pretty safe area, but there's still like cars that come around, so it still could be like a bad thing. But at this point there's like nothing that we can do. She loves outside so much. If you try to keep her inside, which we've had to do a couple of times, she'll just like get really depressed and like sad. But that's just been a whole other ordeal. We've like she got stuck in a tree, she ran away from home. I should probably make at least a few other videos of me talking about, I have so many stories, and I definitely want to paint her in a bunch of other scenes because she kind of ended up looking like a snow leopard in this one. I tried to like mimic her fur coat, which is like, because she's a dilute tortie, it's like cream and like grayish brown with like some white in there. But yeah, she just looks like a snow leopard in this one, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's too late now. But here is a video of me showing her. I don't think that she really cared. To be honest, I don't think she ever cares when I try to show her my art, but I still do it. Anyway, so I'm just gonna end this video here because it's gone on long enough already. But like this video if you want to give me a virtual hug, and bye!